Next up, we have Pablo Herrera, who is a hip-hop producer from Havana, Cuba, where he actively worked with various Cuban hip-hop artists and projects. Pablo is also a successful production manager who has been a key figure in bringing major British and American acts to Havana. He is now commencing a PhD in social anthropology at the University of St. Andrews. Now, I want you to welcome Pablo and his talk, Cuban Hip-Hop from Edinburgh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pablo Herrera. When I was 13 years old, I wanted to become a marine biologist. But one song changed my life. I invite you to close your eyes for a minute. That song changed my life. That was a snippet of Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang. It's one of the most popular songs of early American hip-hop. I want to share with you some of my journey, some of my passion, some of the journey and the story that how one song made me, or sent me into a journey that I'm still pursuing today. You see, listening to music can be very empowering if that music is charged with beauty and a positive message. After I first listened to American hip-hop, I felt so connected, so identified. I felt that I could understand it so profoundly that I started dreaming with making that music myself. And so like many in my generation, I started to desire to be part of the culture that created that kind of music. The greatest finding for me was to go around Havana and meet other people who also had a similar experience. I remember going to Café Cantante and witnessing how 5 or 6 groups had gathered an audience of over 200 people. The place was completely packed. And I thought to myself, if this is hip-hop in Havana, I have to be a part of it. This is it. And when the guys that invited me to check out the show came on stage and performed, I was blown away by their ability to perform, represent, and deliver hip-hop. And I became their biggest groupie. And hanging out with them, I started to realize that the possibility of doing it myself will become a lot more tangible. So I hung around them enough to self-appoint myself as their manager. Yes, I had an idea and I wanted to share it with them. And I was so passionate about my newfound culture that even though I wasn't a rapper or a music producer yet, I worked as hard as I could to push their work forward. But being their manager wasn't enough. I wanted to become part of the group's creative process. Now, to give you a bit of context, in the mid-1990s, Cuba went into a major economic crisis because of the fall of the Soviet Union and of global socialism. And artists, musicians, and people in general became very vocal about how the crisis affected them. And hip-hop became very popular amongst the youth because it is a very efficient platform for people to express and communicate whatever they feel. However, whoever wanted to rap back then had to rhyme over American hip-hop instrumentals because the equipment needed to make hip-hop music in Cuba was basically non-existent. So, as their manager, and working with them, I realized that these guys wanted, and the more they became more and more popular, they needed to create their own music and have their own original music. So as their manager, I took the responsibility of looking around Havana for, first of all, a keyboardist who had a keyboard, important. He needed to know how to sequence and had a sequencer and have a sequencer with his keyboard. But I also needed to make sure this person was hip enough to understand what hip hop was. And I found this person, and none of us knew how to read or write music. All we knew was what hip hop sounded like. So we had to explain to this musician in non-musical terms how to build a basic hip hop beat. I invite you to close your eyes again, please.
Dijeron negro, pero a mí no me contaron.
Dijeron blanco, pero en ese clan no me aceptaron. Dijeron tantas cosas, soy el ser que nadie quiso. Lo negro por lo blanco, el grito de un mestizo.
Dijeron negro, pero a mí no me contaron.
Dijeron blanco, pero en ese clan no me aceptaron. Dijeron tantas cosas, soy el ser que nadie quiso. Lo negro por lo blanco, el grito de un mestizo.
That was Ashavon Cursao, which means mixed up octoroon, and is arguably the first song in the history of Cuban hip hop to speak with a truly Cuban voice. It was written by Joel Pando, and the song talks about the dilemma of being someone with basically Spanish and African ancestry. I worked really, really hard with this group. I gave them a lot, and so much so that even after the group split, someone who also had a vision about how to establish hip-hop in Havana asked me to produce the music for the first compilation of Cuban hip-hop made by Cubans within Cuba. And I was fortunate enough to be asked what kind of things that I need to make this music. And I said, I need an Akai MPC 2000. An Akai MPC 2000 is a sampler and is one of the standard tools to produce hip-hop. I said I also need a keyboard, I need speakers, and I need headphones. On the 5th of August, 1999, on my mother's birthday, Mike Esterson, the executive producer of this record, came to Havana from New York and gave all this gear to me. And I became the first person in Cuba with that kind of equipment. I was so excited to have this equipment in my room that I would I would work all day, work all night, go to bed at 8 a.m., sleep for 3 hours, wake up at 11 a.m., and continue working. Mike came back 10 days later, and the first 10 beats I made learning how to work with that equipment became the songs that made the Cuban Hip Hop All Stars album. And thereby, they became part of the first batch of music of what we now call Cuban hip hop. So through sticking to the message I found and I heard in Rapper's Delight, I was able to be involved in creating, producing, and nationalizing hip hop for Cuba.
Dificultades que son tan perjudiciales que a veces te hacen olvidar cosas más esenciales.
Tengo una conducta fracturada por la gente. Tengo de elemento, tengo de consciente. Tengo fundamento sin tener antecedentes. Tengo mi talento y eso es más que suficiente.
What a blessing to have found something like that for myself, something that makes me feel so good, so happy, so purposeful, that I wanted to share with everyone else. Have you found anything like that makes you feel so good, so happy, so powerful, so purposeful that you want to share with everyone else? I wanted to share with everyone in Havana the amount of power I got from listening to hip-hop. I wanted to tell them how my vision of Cuban society had changed since I first listened to Rapper's Delight. And so I set out to map hip-hop culture in Cuba. I set out to be part of those who were its beacon in Cuba. I set out to make sure that the recent history of Cuban urban music felt the flavor of that new rhythm. As you can see, my desire evolved into a passion, and that passion has been driven by the amount of purpose I found in making a music that is so connected to social and political awareness, but also making music that is for dancing, for loving, for the love of culture. Mainly because through producing hip-hop, I was able to revisit my memories of Cuban music.
Yo, uno para el DJ, dos para el DJ y todo el mundo quiere en base diciéndolo así. Hey Mr. DJ, hip hop, hey Mr. DJ. Yo, revolución en Cuba tiene un nombre, hip hop. Revolución es mi canción con virtudes realistas, transmitiendo el pensamiento en un mensaje psicológico.
I left Cuba hoping to expand my network to a global platform. I live today here in Edinburgh, which is a city without global caliber, with my family and almost all the resources I need to produce the music that I love. I was in fact invited to check out the hip-hop scene here in Edinburgh, and I remember going to Bristol Square and having to stand in the cold rain to check out an MC battle, and I thought I was going to catch a cold. I was like, so I left. And that made me think about my Cuba community and how we are scattered all over the world. Recently, the guy with the picture in the glasses in that picture, Randy Acosta, who now lives in Barcelona, he's a rapper as well. He let me listen to a beat that he had chosen for a new song that he was writing. And the song had been written, and the beat had been produced by Marron Fernandez, who is a hip-hop producer who lives in Caracas. He's from Venezuela. So you can imagine the distances already. And I listened to the song, and I said to Randy, the song needs a trumpet solo to be complete. And so I called my friend Harvey Scuni, who is an outstanding Cuban trumpet player, but he lives in Bucharest, Romania. And I asked him to listen to the song, and Harvey listened to it, and he worked on it, and now the song is up on YouTube with over 500,000 views. This is the video that he made for it.
Ahora todo es crisis, pero solo te afecta a ti. Todo es terrorismo para invadir suelo iraquí. La realidad que vi no es la que vende la TV. Por ende ando rapeando constante como Pi. De mí pa' ti, R.A.N.D.I. Cuba y Venezuela, Marrón Fernández en el beat.
Bomba.
Siéntelo.
In spite of the popularity of the song, I miss the spirit of everyone together. In the same room, I miss the warmth of everyone together in the same room making music. But it was the power of music that brought us together to create this wonderful song. It was the power of music that has allowed me to, through my passion, to share my passion with the rest of the world. It's the power of music that's given me my life's purpose. Like I said, when I was 13 years old, I wanted to become a marine biologist, but one song changed my life. Thank you.